I host the podcast with Chaz Palminteri, and he drills into my head that my network is my net worth. After a certain point, it's even harder as you get older to kind of reinvent yourself and keep things fresh and start new. I talk about coming out to Los Angeles and going into clubs where they don't know me and being like, "Hi, I'm Tara." I feel like I'm new. I feel like a new kid in school. Like, I feel like I'm going through puberty in high school, some of my moments here. It's so uncomfortable. And I said that to Chaz. I said, "I'm just so uncomfortable." And he said, "Yeah, that's where you grow." Cawfee Talk. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Cawfee Talk with Tara Cannistraci. I hope you're having a great morning, or whatever time you're listening to this. I hope you had a great day. Usually I do air these every Monday, but I know you guys sometimes listen to them later in the week. I just want to thank you guys for jumping on board with this podcast. You guys are coming to my shows now, and after the show, you're coming over me going, "Cawfee Talk," and it just makes me so happy. Because when I first started these episodes, this podcast, I should say, it was really just to, for lack of a better term, have a one-on-one conversation with my audience and for you guys to get to know a different side of me. And then I started inviting guests on, which has just been so much fun, and I love the response from you guys about me, introducing you to a new comic you really like, or you just watched someone special, or having a chef on, or a reality star. But I do love these solo episodes from time to time because I feel like I'm reconnecting with you guys, and I am in a safer place now where I am able to talk about things more openly than I think I was at first. Before, I was like, everything that comes out of my mouth has to be funny. But everything that comes out of my mouth, most importantly, has to be authentic. And I think the comedy will follow. So I did want to talk to you guys today because I aired an episode about breaking up with New York City, which, when I tell you, my fan base, even the people who've moved out of New York, don't even like the fact that I'm in LA. They're like, "What are you doing? Go back home. That's where you should be." There's a big world out there, and especially with comedy, I'm getting to tour and see so many different places across the United States. But I've also realized that there is a possible another home for me in Los Angeles, which, trust me, guys, the realization is hard on me too, because I was so committed. I mean, I'm on the Bronx Barbie tour. I don't know how much more committed you can be to where you come from with a tour like that. But there was this really harsh reality for me, and I've mentioned it on the podcast before, and I've referenced it with guests and with Kita, my producer, that I'm kind of like in this messy middle phase of my life. And I realize that I'm definitely not alone when I say that. I think for me, it's kind of like, as I've explained, I not in the beginning of my career, and I definitely haven't hit where I kind of would dream to be. So this is the really hard part where I try not to quit, which I'm not going to. But what I realize is I did need a change. I needed to change a pace, scenery, network. I host the podcast with Chaz Palminteri Show, and he drills into my head that my network is my net worth. And it's just one simple line that it's kind of like how our parents used to say, like, birds of a feather, right? Was that the term, like birds of a feather flock together? Or tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are, like one of those kind of concepts. And in business, and especially in entertainment, your network is your net worth. And I came to LA on a whim. I don't know if I told the story, but I'll abbreviate it. It was January of last year, so 2024. And I was in a hotel in Albany, opening up for another comic in like the middle of winter, feeling so unfulfilled, even though the comic was great and I had a good time off stage, just feeling like I was missing something in my life. And I DM'd a producer out here in LA. I lied. I said that I was in LA. And he offered me shows, and then I went home from Albany. I jumped on a plane. I flew to LA. And I did these shows, and I just felt like I found a place where I could grow in a different way, and I could reinvent myself a little bit. And then I think to myself, that's a common thought for everyone at some point in their life. It's not just my messy middle because I'm a comedian trying to be a star. It's kind of where we maybe all feel, or a place we all get to at some point in our life, whether it's been through divorce or through, people get fired or, have a change of heart about what they want to do or what they want to be when they grow up, even if they're in their 40s or 50s or 60s. So I kind of felt like it wasn't a topic that would be completely unrelatable to just everybody. And I think after a certain point, it's even harder as you get older to kind of reinvent yourself and keep things fresh and start new. I talk about coming out to Los Angeles and going into clubs where they don't know me and being like, "Hi, I'm Tara." I feel like I'm new. I feel like a new kid in school. Like, I feel like I'm going through puberty in high school, some of my moments here. It's so uncomfortable. And I said that to Chaz. I said, "I'm just so uncomfortable." And he said, "Yeah, that's where you grow." So I have to, and that's why I came out here. I came out here to enhance comedy and then found that being out here in a lot of ways enhanced the rest of my life, which is a really weird place to be when your entire family is in New York and everything is in New York, and I've never left New York, and I am not young or at a place where completely moving 3,000 miles away isn't something I overthink or question every single dollar I spend doing it. Like, I know it looks really cool online. You see me in LA in a new studio and I'm posting all these shows and everything looks fabulous. I'm scared shit, okay? I'm scared I'm spending all my money. I'm scared that I'm wasting my time. I'm scared that I'm giving up other things that I should be doing, like I'm shitting on myself. I should be doing at this age. But I realize that I kind of have to just follow that gut feeling that's telling me I have to be somewhere else. And I think had I been in my 20s, nobody would be questioning this move. Nobody would be saying, "Oh, well, you're this or you're married or you're this." They'd go, "All right, she's going to start over." Or, and let me tell you, if I did it in my 20s, Keita and I were talking about it, it'd be a lot easier. Right? I was way less picky in my 20s. I think starting over at an age where you already know what you need or you're like a little more set in your ways, and you can't necessarily, I'm apartment hunting now here, and I'm like looking at certain areas or certain buildings, and I'm like, I need the bathroom to have this. I need new faucets, like I shkiv, and you guys know the way I speak. I'm like, "Oh no, shkivats, I can't, gross." So like finding that, Mike came out and looked at apartments with me, and I have a really weird thing where I'm going to share with you, because I said I was going to be honest about where I came from and who I am and why I am the way I am. But I have a real need to constantly feel safe. And when I say safe, I don't mean crime outside my building. I mean just safe within the four walls of my house. And I have to have like a feeling of comfort when I walk into a place. Like I'm not a person who's going to see an apartment. I don't care if it's in Beverly Hills. I don't care if it's in the best neighborhood. I don't care if the guy's going to give me 1 year rent free. I have to probably visit the home like 3 times to like get acclimated to it. When I first bought my house, my apartment in New York when I was 29, I didn't move in for a year. I literally would drive around the neighborhood and it took me like almost a year to move into it, because like that's how hard the change was for me. So much so, and I think I don't know if I've told this story before, but I grew up in the Bronx my entire life. I didn't leave the Bronx till I was 29, and my friend called me. I was driving, and I picked up the phone, on the car phone, of course, and I said, she goes, "Where are you?" I go, "I'm just getting gas." She goes, "Oh, too bad. I was up by your house. I was going to come say hi. I was, going to come say hello. I'm in the Bronx or whatever." And I go, No, I'm in the Bronx." And she goes, "Oh, what were you doing here?" And I said, "Oh, I came to get gas." And she said, "What?" I lived like 25 minutes north of the Bronx at this point. I said, "Yeah, my gas guy's here." And she's like, "There's no such thing as a gas guy," right? It's like you can find a gas station. There's one on the corner of your block. Like, you don't have a relationship with the guy you tip $2 to for pumping your gas. And I'm like, it takes so much for me to get acclimated. So I think it's really great that I came out here and took a chance on myself a year ago and started popping in and out. And I got a place that I've been in now since January here, and I go back and forth from New York. But at the end of the day, it's just not easy. And I say this to say to all of you, if you're looking for a change or you want to change, you know, I get it. Like, I get the fear behind it. I get the questioning. When I said I needed a safe home, it's really because I probably never felt I had a mom who was divorced. I would go in between my parents' house. My dad, I've talked very openly about it, was an alcoholic, and my mother never restricted him seeing me. So it didn't make a difference that he didn't pay child support. It didn't make a difference that he wasn't sober. She would always say, "That's your father, and nobody else loves you the way I love you in this world except for him." So she never spoke badly about him in front of me. She let him take me to Florida when I was 6. When I think back to now, I'm like, you let him take me on a plane? Like, are you insane? But she just said to herself, she said, I know that he would never let anything happen to you, no matter what his state of mind he was in. I knew that he loved you enough that you were always safe. And so I guess, although she never said a bad word about him, you, as a child, you inherently know when something's not right or when things are, different. And, my mother also married a man that was mentally abusive in our house, and she would break up with him and get back with him. So I kind of lived in that turmoil at home with a terrible stepfather, with her constantly breaking up and getting back and us moving out and moving back in. And, my mother loved me completely. I didn't have anything that, where I didn't have a mother. I always say you need at least one good parent, and I had one. But at the end of the day, I never really had a home. And when I moved out, when I was 29, which is like a really long time we had, moved into a building at one point with my grandparents. My grandfather got sick, and so that's why I stayed as long as I did in the Bronx, or in that home. And when I finally moved out, I had this like real sense of like feeling safe in my own home that was foreign to me. And I'll never forget when I had to sell my apartment that I had bought in Hartsdale, New York. My husband was like, "Come on, we're gonna get, like, we need to save bills. We can't have two places. You have to move in with." I had already been really living with him, but I remember when I had to sell the place, the anxiety. I mean, I could almost cry now talking about it, because I felt so grateful that I had that safe place, and that it made me feel so bad to sell, because I literally was kissing the floors. Like, I don't think I had realized where I came from to where I finally made it. And it wasn't a lavish brand new apartment. There was, I did the best I could with the money I had. At the time I was working for the Yankees, so I did get to furnish, fix it up a little bit. But it was just a regular apartment. But it was like, it was home. And I would never forget when I moved in with Mike and I had sold the place. If we would fight, this is going to sound so crazy, but I'm going to say it so you guys understand my level of thinking. I would literally drive to the apartment and like sit there outside the apartment in my car. Like, after it was sold, like, if the person who sold it saw me sitting out there, they probably like called. I mean, I looked like a psychopath, but it was just my safe place. So to say that coming out to LA has not been like the biggest sacrifice of my life, like it's been emotional intelligence growth on my end. It is, I can't even believe I'm still here. I am so grateful for the people I have met, the people you've seen on this podcast, Kita. But at the end of the day, it's just leaps and bounds from driving to the Bronx to go get gas from my gas guy, to being in LA, not knowing a soul really when I got here, lying about living here in the beginning, because after I would perform, bookers would be like, "Oh, we want to book you more." And I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm here. I'm here." But I really wasn't. But I am here now. And I am still in New York. I still go back and forth. I'd say I split my time evenly. I am finding the rhythm that works for me. I am not giving up on my dream of really taking this comedy career to the next level. And I just thank you guys for being on board with me, because I don't know if you really understand how important it is when you guys come out to shows or listen to this podcast or share my clips. It really is an invaluable thing to people in this industry. I don't just speak for myself. And also to validate me that I am really connecting with you. Because yes, I want followers and you want to sell tickets, but you also kind of want to really feel like you're doing something good, right? Don't we all just want to feel like we're doing something good in this world? I think inherently 99% of people are good, and that is the goal. So I thank you guys for letting me feel like I'm doing some good, even if you don't like all my jokes. I know that you like the majority of them. And I really appreciate you supporting me during my messy middle part of my life. And if you are going through your messy middle, or you know somebody else going through it, or you just think something in this podcast resonated with you or somebody that you know needs to hear it, please share it. I look forward to meeting you guys at my shows. All my shows are at tarajokes.com. And thank you guys. I needed this. I hope you did too.
Cawfee Talk.